Also, I gotta talk just a little bit before we leave fingers about your use of the 50s rock and roll. That's through all your early films.
That is just an excuse to hear the music, because if all else fails, I at least know that I'm going to be hearing music that I love. By the way, I was appreciating its appearance here after Exposed and before. I was actually a regular on the Alan Freed Rock and Roll Party on Channel 5 from 4 to 5 during the summer when I was about 14.
Oh, one of the dancing kids?
Yeah. And I mean,
like Hairspray, you're one of the kids.
Yes, exactly. I actually won the Chop contest with Vicki Warwick dancing to Robin Luke singing Susie Darling. So one of the unreported triumphs of my life. But no kinescopes exist to prove it. But I loved that music. I had been kind of raised on classical music, and then I started to see and feel how all music really is intertwined and great if you listen to it right. And that sound it still melts my heart. It's the most romantic, beautiful music, and the lyrics are so great. I mean, first a boy and a girl meet each other, then they sit down to talk for a while. In your heart, you want her for a lover. As each step draws you closer to the aisle, you might start with a simple conversation like, "Darling, please put me on trial." I mean, where else can you come up with that? And just the wonderful romantic mood it created. So I'm always trying to make these movies where romance is a kind of doomed hope. And it just seems that this rock and roll is great for it. Then I have to find an excuse why those characters would like it.
Yeah.
And they usually would. The first time I really had to break from it, and even then I came back with it at the end, was in Black and White, because I was collaborating with Wu-Tang Clan, and they were not aficionados of 50 until I got through with them.
Yeah.
And by the end, I had been excited about certain stuff, and then I sneaked it in with the scenes with Ben Stiller and Joe Pantoliano at the end of the movie, where I thought it could be coming from that jukebox in that diner. But you know, when you love something, I think in film, ultimately what you remember is these great moments that move you. So if you can find a way of getting in music you love, or dialogue you love, or a shot you love, or I mean, if it's believable, why not?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's a wonderful like a disc jockey throughout the whole movie, but it's also this wonderful character thing that he goes everywhere with that tape player, and the fact that he's like, again, so antisocial with it, all right? That he walks into Jim Brown's fucking place wearing it, all right, daring Jim to turn that goddamn noise off, all right?
And to come up with when challenged with, you know what, it doesn't go as a shrimp. The most musically inventive song of 1950. By the way, it is.
Yeah, no, when I just do a quick quote of Fingers, that's always the scene I do.
Yeah.
That but as good as it is through the whole movie for both defining his character and making it personal to you and giving the film a beat, as he walks through these New York streets and everything, as good as all that is in the film, you hit another level with Mockingbird in the sex scene. That is just a great piece of cinematic music.
Well, it somehow, when you get the right piece of music in a scene of sexual behavior, it always adds incredibly. And when you don't have the right piece, it's horrible. And I think the worst thing, and it's what's usually done in movies, is there's always something kind of vaguely sentimental and schmaltzy about the music during the sex scene. And it really makes you want to attack the screen. So Mockingbird, or my favorite, which is Baby Talk, when he with Tanya Roberts.
Exactly.
Jan and Dean singing Baby Talk. I was only 5 years old. She was only 3.
But, one of the things that one of the most rhythmic parts of that scene actually isn't the Jim Brown macking with the girl. It's just Tisa Farrow is just slightly moving. Just doing a very slight sway, very slight, barely not even doing it, but there.
And that
leotard.
Well, no one else could have played that. I mean, she had that quality. She was she was crazy and very romantic and very mysterious. She was driving a cab and working at Barney's Beanery as a bartender when I met her.
No, wow.
I was in the back seat of her taxi and I saw her eyes and I said, "Your eyes are the eyes of my leading lady," which has to be the corniest line any director ever delivered.
But not the corniest line you've ever said.
And she said, without missing a beat, "You don't want me, you want my sister." And I said, "Who's your sister?" And she said, "Mia Farrow." And I said, "No, I like Mia, but I want you." And that was the end of the first conversation. But it worked out where she just kind of harmonized with it. And there was an eerie moment about 2 days before we started shooting. She said, "You know, I've always fucked up everything in my life, and I'm going to fuck this movie up too." And I kind of shook her rather violently, and I said, "You can fuck up the rest of your life. You are not going to fuck up." And she smiled and said, "Okay." And that's what happened. She was great in this movie and then disappeared to Vermont, where she became a bartender.
No, she disappeared to Italy, where she worked with Lucio Fulci and Joe Diamano and Luigi Cusi. And then came back and became a bartender. We can't deny zombie in this theater, my God. The whole audience, like, you know, like, "Oh, no. One last thing about Fingers, and I didn't know this to be the case, but again, you had a huge cult following. So be in different acting classes at like 22 or something like that, and I meet some guy who was a big fan of yours and saw a UCLA screening of Fingers, and he said in a question and answer session that in the scenes when the guy gets pistol whipped with the pistol upon the head, why don't you take it from there?
About how we got the sound right? Well, when we went into the soundstage, I heard these popping sounds for the pistol whipping sounds, almost like a balloon popping. And I said to the guys, "What's that supposed to be?" And they said, "That's the pistol hitting the face." I said, "Well, I know that's what you put there, but what is that actual sound?" They said, "I don't know, it's just listed that way in the library." I said, "Do you have one that says pistol whipping face?" It's that specific, but that's the closest we could find. I said, "Well, let me tell you something." I was very arrogant, you know. I said, "That is a horrible sound, and someone is going to have to smack his head with a pistol to get the real sound." And since Tisa had gone through some head whacking, she looked at me as if to say, "Now you've got to put up." So I went over to the mic and smacked my head with the pistol that they provided me with, creating some blood and bumps on my scalp. But it's a real sound, and it's the only real pin. And I wonder if they labeled it that way in the Golden Sound. I'll tell you a story about David Picker. He saw the movie and said to me, David Picker, who ran several studios in his day, and he said, "This is a great movie." He said, "I love this movie. It's a masterpiece. There's just one thing you must change if you have time." And I said, "What's that?" And he said, "That phony sound you have with the pistol hitting."